Why don't we just spend a moment on that, General? And you mentioned the different groups, and they were in liaison with each other. And then, what was your position here, and what happened?
Yeah, position. I cannot say that I or the other ones had the position. You see, the development of the resistance against Hitler is a very slow one for several reasons. The starting point, in time I mean, is 38. From then on, it developed. As always, in secret, certain persons. And these persons had then, after a certain time, a circle of persons around them, on the civilian side and on the army side. Partly they did not know for a long time from each other, but and the first trying to topple Hitler was developed by some generals and officers in the army in 38. And this could not be done because of Munich. After Munich, Czechoslovakia and so on, remember, it was impossible to do such things against Hitler. The whole German people, he was a great man. Please don't forget about Hitler. One thing, he had given back to Germany, more or less, all what Germany had lost in the Treaty of Versailles without any war, in peace. He had done away in 2 years 7 million unemployed people, and so on and so on. And now this great success in Munich, Daladier, Chamberlain, and other side, to get back areas which were really German people living in. It was impossible to do anything like a plot or a Staatsstreich, a coup d'etat or whatever against Hitler. Impossible. That became more or less possible with the development then of the war, and after the war became more and more unlucky and so on. But back to these groups, that means these people thinking on toppling Hitler in 38, 39, they had to stop for a while. They couldn't do anything apart from one point, and this is one point I mention always. From 41, we were in war, regardless whether we were the attackers or not, but we were in war with the Bolshevism, with the communism. And this is quite a different thing than to be in war with French or Britain or Americans. You understand what I mean? At least for us it was. And then we had in Germany our experience with communism in Germany in the years after the First World War. We had some communist regimes in some parts of Germany. All right. So now it grew very slow, very difficult, and you see you couldn't speak open with other people. You couldn't know on which side he was, and so on. And that's what I mean this with different groups. But one thing was quite clear to the civilian, let me say, leaders of this resistance, that the coup was necessary, and the coup could only be done by the army. No other one could do it. So this was to try to give a general picture of the whole thing, and that it was postponed. I don't know the exact figure, but there are more than 30 trials to kill Hitler, not only the one of 20th of July. And I'm not, I mean, you could look in the books, this is written in the books, which did not succeed, for that reason or this reason. Now, in the army, there were many people, but two people in special, which were, let me say, the leading figure. The one in Berlin and the other one in the staff of the Army Group Center on the Eastern Front. This one was Colonel and later on General von Tresckow. And in Berlin, it was the driving man, this was Stauffenberg, the name is known. He was later the one he brought the bomb to Hitler. Ne? All right, and you asked about my position. I had no position, but I came step by step, not from one day to the other one. I was convinced it must be done something. And not only what you can read in the books, because we saw the war is lost. No, for the other reasons. All was broken down. It was no right in Germany anymore, no laws, nothing at all. It was dictatorship. Right? And that was the main reason too. And I was in this time from 42 to 44 in the operations divisions of the High Command of the Army. That means I was one of the very few people knowing very exactly and clear how the situation on the front lines was altogether. And this was not so known in Berlin, because Hitler had very strong the principle only need to know, nicht? More than it was necessary. So the people in Berlin did not know exactly how the situation was, and especially how the strength of the forces were, and so on and so on. And this I gave then by friends of mine, otherwise it was not possible. I couldn't go myself to Stauffenberg in Berlin. Once he came to see me, but this was very dangerous. And same line of contact, let me say, on the other side with Colonel von Tresckow. But I was also in between. I had no special role, but I could inform about some points which either this group nor this group could know, because it was secreted in the High Command of the Army. Do you understand me?
Yes. And how did you come to be arrested then?
Yeah, how? Because after the plot failed, it is 20th of July, first of all, there were not very many papers, but the Gestapo found names and so on, and it was always like that thing. And more than, and this is not to be forgotten, these people, which was taken in prison immediately after the plot, they came under, now again, please help me, what is Folter?
Torture.
Torture. And I can only say, I have not been tortured materially, I have been only tortured spiritually, let me say like that. I cannot guarantee under torture not to tell things I do not like to tell, you see. And by this way from one certain officers, and I have never accused him in my heart or really was given my name, and that was the reason. He knows about me. He knows about me.
And how did you escape?
This is a very long story, too long really for this one. I was arrested, and now you see I was a small figure in the whole play. I was not too important. This was clear to the Gestapo. There were several reasons. The first reason was that I apparently could defend myself, I must say by lying, with success in the Vernehmen hearing and so from the Gestapo. So it was no paper to be found in my area. I had no paper. Other ones had papers, what was very dangerous. So they had no real point found out. They knew, but they knew not exactly. They knew about some things I should have been said. This was one. But the main point was that I had, let me say, friends which had the possibility to go to Himmler. Himmler was here the man for all these things. and to tell him, I know this man Kielmansegg, and I cannot see that he is a anti-Nazi. He is a very good Nazi, you see, it's this way. And this was more than one, even included one general of the SS, and I would like to say here that in the SS there were very brave men too, and good men, not only all villains and so on, as you can read it. So this came all together with the fact that I was not a big man, I was not very important, and for some reasons then I came free. But not without condition. I was sent to the front line. It was to be reported about me every 4 weeks for 6 months. And if I was not, let me say, a good soldier on the front line, then it was written that I was graded down to private from colonel after 6 months, so at least. But this 6 months, the end of this 6 months was just after the 9th of May. So their time was over, not mine.
You grew up in Germany.
Yeah.
You were a grown man. You saw all of these things that happened, the German poverty after World War I, the unemployment, the depression, all of these things. Then Hitler came along, and it must have been an exciting time.
Exciting in any case, but in what way?
I mean, this man came, and people believed him.
No doubt, no doubt. You see, to understand this, and I know very good here in Germany, young people that cannot understand. So understand the situation at the end of the 20s. That is the main point. And then the success of Hitler is very hard to explain. But he was somebody, I must say this. Right? And then he could verführen, seduce, yeah? Was ist verführen? Seduce. He could really seduce the people, and he had some sort of influence I cannot describe. You see, I have tried throughout all the years to find the real German word for what was Hitler's, let me say, power against human beings. I did not find it. It's all part of this, but he had it, no doubt. This is one of the reasons. And then the other reasons, you must say, you see, after the World War I, there was a treaty of Versailles. Germany had lost big areas in east and west. And except small areas in the east where really Polish people were living in, it was German area with German people. He got it back without war, without a shoot, and so on. So he demolished really this Versailles Treaty. And this was a great impact, and we young people found it a great man. He tried to do it, and you see, if you have lost the war, you will have back what you have lost in the war. It's natural. So he did it. He gave it us back, and I must repeat it. Without any war, without any shoot, marching in with flowers. The name of the flower wars of the occupation of Austria and Czechoslovakia is not only a nickname. It had been flower wars because the people were standing with flowers as we came in. And on the other side, and the civilian side, on the working side, I mentioned this, as Hitler took over, became chancellor, we were quite down economically in any respect. We had more than 7.5 million unemployed people, and after 2 or 2.5 years, none. This must make impact, and nobody could see in this time except very few people which had the possibility to look behind the scene. Was behind this, so only this. Then, step by step, it became clear that something was behind, that some price was to be paid in time to come, and so on. And this was the beginning then of the resistance. But in the first years, because you used the expression exciting, it was sort of exciting. Yeah? But and see, even in this I can say, I have never been a Nazi, even as a young man in this sense. I have never been member of the party or whatever. But what Hitler did, and you must make, if you look at Germans, you must really make a difference between Hitler as a person and the party, and the SS, and the NSR, and all these other people. These people was hated nearly from the beginning on, but not Hitler.
We have to cut for a second, Bob. I need to slip in battery.